Well, that was an interesting season. And I'll admit right off the bat, I'm kind of torn on this one because it did one thing that I really liked, and then something else happened that I didn't really like. So that puts me in a little bit of a tough spot with this show. You're gonna have to wait a while though before I get to that, alright? Alright, so when the season started, I gotta admit, I honestly felt kinda about this, because this cast didn't really seem to click in my mind. There didn't appear to be too many people standing out, even though there were things, to pick out. The brothers, the international people, which I thought was a fairly interesting idea, and given how many, seasons there have been of international Big Brothers, it is, a fairly easy idea to carry off, even though, let's be honest, other than Big Brother US, virtually every other country's format is identical but completely different from this, even though I could have sworn there was another country that was planning on adapting the format, but whatever. And I wasn't really feeling it, but then, once I got to, episode 8 or something like that, the show began to pick up. I began to detect good alliances and gameplay possibilities forming, interesting rivalries. And there were a couple of little differences for this season that I began to really like, because there were a lot more people playing the middle, but it seemed to actually work for once, because, in Big Brother 17, I was kind of picky about, Johnny Mac and Steve, spoiler alert, not really picking a side, but here, I didn't really have a problem with the people playing the middle, like Tim, the Third Wheel Alliance, Cassandra a little bit, Nikki a little bit, and yeah, the only people that I did have a bit of an issue with were the brothers, but even then it took me a long while for me to start having an issue with them, to be honest, because at first it looked like they did kind of have a little bit of loyalty to one end, although I can't really remember what it was like now because the dynamics shifted so much, but it was also nice to see there was a fair amount of distrust within each own individual group, and there was so much of it that it felt understandable, and it didn't really overwhelm me in negativity like I kind of had almost for Big Brother 17, but yeah, I began to get really into this group of dynamics. Right, now, I should discuss the brothers a little bit. How do I feel about that? At first, I was thinking, that it's not entirely fair, having two people who know each other right off the bat, even though I kinda did miss that twist, because one thing I did like about the early Big Brother US seasons was that there was people in there that had known each other previously, but usually there was multiple pairings, so it wasn't a big deal minus season 5, but then of course in season 5 the twins shot themselves in the foot, yeah, but given how it ended up being that they ended up, being one vote and one body, in a way, the only way it ended up actually being unfair was them, to themselves, yeah, but since they ended up working together and actually doing a pretty decent job of it, I can't complain that much, although I seriously doubt they're ever going to do this twist again. Although they might do the Big Brother 6 twist, have everybody know one person but keep it hush-hush, right? So that's how I feel about that. And then, there was bringing either Kelsey or Levita back, but I like the way that they did that because, not that many possibilities. They come in very quickly before the jury, and it ended up being left up to the house guests, which I felt was a pretty fair way to do it, even though some will argue that it is unfair and it probably should have been a competition. But one has to remember, it only started being a competition, I think, fairly recently from Big Brother US. Usually, there was just choice going on. Either the house guests or America chose, who to go back. So, Yeah, I think you get the idea. So they actually did it right for once, so I wasn't nearly as picky about people coming back in the game this time, so I'm glad about that, right. The somewhat unique social dynamics helped also, right. Other things to mention. I think I've discussed everything until the HOH twist. Now, this little twist was actually the very first thing that this season did that got me going, wait a minute, I'm not really liking this, because every previous season of Big Brother Canada has somehow managed to incorporate Canada into the mix, and then they always throw in something that affects the season big time. It alters the flow of what happens, because Season 1, they brought back Gary. I don't really count them using the veto on Suzette, because coincidentally, she was pretty much screwed no matter what, so I'll actually let that one slide. But Gary going back in the way too late in the game, that altered the flow of it big time. Season 2, they put up members of the First Five Alliance, which drastically altered the season, giving it to what were they called, sloppy seconds, even though John, I think, was working with the First Five at first, along with Lee. And then in Season 3, they gave Brittany the special power of vetoes, even though they did also give Bruno a special power of veto earlier, but given how he was the HOH, I wasn't that picky about that. But just every previous season of Big Brother has always had a twist that involves the public that altered the season, and I was beginning to think, you know what? Maybe we can actually get through a season that doesn't have this happen. And this twist, I'll admit, there was enough randomness to it that you could have, let it slide, but in the end, it actually did alter the season, because the brothers suddenly kicked their game from low gear all the way up to high gear. Now, to be fair, okay, I think they probably would have done this eventually anyway, but given, what actually happened, I paused now to just put a little bit of spoiler emphasis there, but just given what actually did happen, this actually did alter the season, so I'm not really the hugest fan of this. Now, I know what you're thinking. Big Brother US has had twists that have helped various people out and had potential to alter the season. That is true, but here's the thing. Most of the time, it actually hasn't altered the season at all, or there was an additional caveat that drastically lessened the effect of it, because I'll try and go for the list real fast here. Big Brother 7, Boogie never used it. Big Brother 8, Eric still had to work his butt off, and most of the time it actually worked with his strategic mind, and most of the time when it didn't, he didn't attempt it, so there you go. Big Brother 10, Dan has revealed that he would have voted Jesse out. Big Brother 12, having the veto as part of Pandora's box provides an interesting caveat. There was a punishment for the house that was very similar to a couple of other things that happened in Big Brother history, so they were allowed to put that in. Big Brother 14, they still had Pandora's box that season for Ian's veto, even though it wasn't exactly the same, but Ian never used it. It didn't alter anything, even though Big Brother allegedly tried to get him to use it, but Ian refused. Big Brother 16, control to manipulate things was given to the people that were already affecting things. So when you think about it, the only time a power or the public has actually managed to drastically affect the season was Big Brother 11, given the coup d'etat to Jeff, who then royally shot himself in the foot many weeks down the line. Big Brother US has actually a much cleaner wreckage in that area than this season does. Big Brother US's the problem is production. Just, you know what that story is like. Just listen to Evil Dick and James. So, okay? Big Brother Canada keeps managing to screw this up, whereas Big Brother US, in hindsight, actually is just fine. So just, enough of this. Really. Even though it did make for interesting gameplay, I'll freely admit that, okay? Because I was entertained by this season all the way to the last couple of episodes, and then I began to get the feeling that, freak show was pretty much doomed, that the brothers were probably going to be taking this thing and become, as Joel stated, the luckiest Big Brother winners ever. And I do feel like that there is truth to that, at least for Canada. There's definitely going to be some people who try to throw Rachel and Jordan into that mix, and I'm not going to bother arguing. I'll just let you people form your own opinions about that, to be honest. Yeah. But, like, it was an interesting season, and the brothers, even though they didn't play the best game, you know, it was an honest game. Definitely their game, even though they did coast through the house for the jury bits, but, like, they could have gone really at any point. The twist didn't actually aid them that much, except, you know, providing people who might be a tiny bit better at various competitions, and given how many competitions they screwed up, they're only human, you know? Yeah, so... Right, and even though I did complain about this for a couple of minutes, the twist didn't help them out extraordinary. It just made them do the big move a little bit before they probably would have, because in that game, you gotta take whatever opportunities is given to you, and that kind of thing, right? So, now this brings me to where I say I'm torn here, because, as I stated, this was interesting given the unique social relations, the characters surprising me more than I thought that they were going to, and the season actually managed to get pretty far without, you know, socially altering twists, and even then, out of the four, I'll argue that this was the least altering out of all of them, but at the same time, the winner, I feel like this is the least deserving winner that Big Brother Canada has had, even though they did put a lot of effort into it. You have to with this. As I stated in my Big Brother 17 premiere video, virtually everybody on Big Brother has a chance of winning. As was shown here, virtually everybody had a chance of winning. Kelsey could have done more, but she didn't, as they indicated. Oh, she tried to do stuff, but yeah. That's how I feel. Yeah, I really wish Kelsey had won that Final 5 HOH, or Jared had done that. Yeah, that is so ironic how not only Jared, you know, not taking the haircut, got him sent out, it also made the brothers win, even though they could have lost, you know, any one of those comps along the way. That's a twist of fate for you, yeah. Right. So as I said, I'm kind of torn here. And I think it's about time that I end this, even though I did kind of get repetitive in here, but yeah. See you guys.